The abandoned high school had been the talk of my town for decades. Tales of its haunting had been passed down through generations, and as a thrill seeker and horror enthusiast, I couldn't resist the allure of its chilling history. One moonless night, armed with a flashlight and a heart pounding with both excitement and trepidation, I ventured into the decaying building. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past. As I navigated the dark hallways, the creaking floorboards and distant scuffles of rodents were the only sounds that accompanied me. The school's grand auditorium beckoned to me like a forbidden treasure. Pushing open the heavy doors, I was met with a scene that sent a chill down my spine. The room was bathed in a ghostly blue light, revealing rows of dusty seats and a stage that held a piano, its keys untouched for years. Curiosity led me to the piano, and my fingers hesitated over the keys. As if guided by an unseen force, I began to play a haunting melody that seemed to resonate with the very soul of the building. With each note, a series of flickering lights illuminated the auditorium, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The music swelled, and suddenly, I felt a presence beside me, a faint, cold breath on my neck. I stopped playing and turned, but there was no one there. My heart raced as a voice whispered, "They never left." The words seemed to come from all directions, and a sense of unease settled over me. The air grew heavier, and a chorus of distant cries and whispers filled the auditorium. I could almost see the faint outlines of ghostly figures in the seats, their eyes fixed on the stage. Panic surged within me as the cries grew louder, the voices overlapping in a cacophony of sorrow and torment. In a desperate bid to escape, I fled the auditorium, the echoes of the spectral voices following me down the hallways. The experience had shaken me to the core, leaving me haunted not only by the ghosts of the past, but by the knowledge that the echoes of tragedy would forever resonate within the abandoned high school. Entering the abandoned high school was like stepping into a world frozen in time. The once bustling halls were now eerily quiet, and the walls bore the scars of years of neglect. My footsteps echoed as I ventured deeper into the darkness, my flashlight the only source of light in the oppressive blackness. A flicker of movement caught my attention, a shadow darting around a corner. I quickened my pace, heart racing, only to find myself in a narrow corridor lined with lockers. The air seemed to grow colder, and a sense of being watched sent a shiver down my spine. As I continued down the corridor, the feeling of being observed intensified. I cast my flashlight beam left and right, but the lockers stood still and empty. And then, from the corner of my eye, I saw it, a pair of eyes, glinting in the darkness. My heart skipped a beat as I turned to face the source, but there was nothing there. Unease settled over me like a heavy fog, and I felt an inexplicable compulsion to explore further. I stumbled upon a classroom, its door ajar. Pushing it open, I was met with an unsettling sight. A row of desks, each with an empty seat, as if frozen in time. And at the front of the room stood a chalkboard, covered in cryptic symbols and messages. As I scanned the room, a whispering breeze rustled the papers on the teacher's desk, and the chalkboard suddenly came to life. The symbols seemed to writhe and shift, forming grotesque faces that leered at me with malevolent intent. The eyes, those same glinting eyes, materialized in the center of the chalkboard, unblinking and filled with malice. With a jolt, I stumbled back and fled the classroom, the sensation of being watched following me like a lingering specter. The eyes in the dark had left an indelible mark on my mind, a reminder that sometimes the most chilling horrors are the ones that can't be seen. The abandoned high school had always held a dark fascination for me. Its crumbling walls and shattered windows seemed to guard a secret, and I was determined to uncover it. Armed with a camera and a sense of adventure, I entered the forsaken building on a stormy night, the howling wind adding to the atmosphere of unease. The hallways were a maze of decay, each step echoing with the sound of my own breathing. The air was heavy with an acrid scent, a mixture of dampness and time's passage. In one classroom, I found a peculiar arrangement, a circle of candles, their flames flickering in defiance of the drafty air. As I approached the circle, my flashlight revealed an ornate book at its center. The pages were filled with incantations and symbols, hinting at a ritual that had been left unfinished. My curiosity got the better of me, and I began to read the words aloud, my voice echoing through the empty room. Suddenly, the air grew charged, and the flames of the candles burned brighter, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The symbols on the pages seemed to shift and writhe, taking on a life of their own. Panic surged within me as I realized that I had awakened something beyond my comprehension. A cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the candles in an instant. Darkness enveloped me, broken only by a faint, bluish glow that emanated from the center of the circle. I felt a presence beside me, a sensation of being surrounded by unseen entities. Whispers filled the air, a chorus of voices speaking in languages I couldn't understand. Shapes moved in the darkness, their forms shifting and distorting. And then, a voice. A single, chilling whisper that seemed to come from within my own mind. Complete the ritual. Terror gripped me as I realized the gravity of the situation. The unfinished ritual had been waiting for someone to fulfill its purpose, to bridge the gap between the living and the otherworldly. But I knew that whatever lay on the other side was beyond comprehension, beyond sanity. With every ounce of willpower, I tore my gaze from the bluish glow and fled the classroom, the whispers fading as I put distance between myself and the malevolent forces I had awakened. The unfinished ritual had come dangerously close to consuming me, a stark reminder that some secrets are best left buried in the depths of the abandoned high school. The abandoned high school loomed in the moonlight like a forgotten sentinel. Determined to unravel its mysteries, I ventured inside once more, the memories of past encounters fueling my sense of unease. The hallways were shrouded in darkness, the shadows seemingly alive as they danced along the walls. In a forgotten corner, I stumbled upon a room that seemed untouched by time. A small art studio. Easels were scattered around the room, each supporting an unfinished canvas. My flashlight illuminated the canvases, revealing scenes of beauty and darkness captured in strokes of oil and acrylic. But one painting drew my attention, a portrait of a young woman, her eyes hauntingly lifelike, seemingly following my every move. The brush strokes depicted a sense of sorrow and longing, as if the artist had poured their own emotions onto the canvas. As I gazed into the woman's eyes, a whisper echoed in the air, "Set me free." Startled, I stepped back, but the voice persisted. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that the voice was coming from the painting itself. Hesitation gripped me, but curiosity drove me forward. "How?" I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. A cold breeze swept through the room, causing the candles on a nearby table to flicker. The woman's eyes seemed to grow more intense, and the whisper grew into a desperate plea. The room grew colder, and the air seemed to thicken with a heavy sadness. In a moment of recklessness, I reached out and touched the canvas. The world around me shifted, and suddenly, I was standing within the painting, a world of muted colors and swirling emotions. The woman stood before me, her gaze filled with gratitude and something deeper, a sense of connection. As she reached out her hand, the world began to blur, the colors bleeding into one another. Panic surged within me as I realized that I was being drawn further into the painting, my own form becoming brushstrokes on the canvas. In a last desperate struggle, I tore my hand away from hers and wrenched myself free from the painting's grasp. Gasping for breath, I found myself back in the art studio. The painting had returned to its normal state, its colors vivid and its gaze fixed upon me once more. With a shiver, I turned and fled the room, the haunting portrait's plea still echoing in my mind. The woman's imprisonment was a chilling reminder that sometimes even art can hold the power to. The abandoned high school stood as a monument to the past, its broken windows and crumbling walls a testament to years of neglect. The stories of its hauntings had always intrigued me, and on a moonlit night, I ventured inside with both excitement and a sense of foreboding. The hallways were a maze of darkness, each step accompanied by the echoes of my own footsteps. The air was charged with a palpable tension, as if the very walls held the memories of countless students who had once roamed these corridors. As I navigated the labyrinthine hallways, I stumbled upon a bulletin board covered in old photographs. They depicted scenes of carefree students, their smiles frozen in time. Among the photographs, one caught my attention. A group of students, their faces contorted in anger and fear. Curiosity led me to explore further, and I discovered an old newspaper article beneath the bulletin board. It recounted a tragedy that had unfolded within these very walls. A group of students had been involved in a deadly altercation that ended in bloodshed. The faces in the photograph were those of the students involved. With a shudder, I realized that their tormented souls might still linger within the abandoned high school, bound by the unresolved anger and hatred that had led to their downfall. As I continued my exploration, I felt a growing sensation of being watched, as if the vengeful spirits were aware of my presence. In a classroom, I heard a faint whisper, a voice dripping with malice. The air grew colder, and the walls seemed to close in on me as I entered the room. Shadows danced along the walls, their forms taking on the shapes of the students from the photograph, their faces twisted in anger, their eyes fixed upon me with accusing glares. As I backed away, their whispers grew louder, their words a chilling chorus of blame and resentment. Panic surged within me as the room seemed to close in, the walls pressing against me as if eager to trap me in their vengeful grip. The air grew heavy with a sense of suffocation, and I struggled to breathe. With a burst of adrenaline, I dashed from the room, the accusing whispers fading behind me. The vengeful spirits of the past were a stark reminder that the darkness within the abandoned high school ran deeper than its crumbling facade. Their anger and resentment had transcended death, a chilling reunion of souls bound by a tragic fate.